Hello all, good evening. Welcome to Bajirao Ias Academy interview guidance program. So in today's lecture we are going to discuss about India and women relations. So before discussing this article today, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and also hit the like button. So India has a lot of stakes in Middle East, especially for India's energy security. When we talk about India's stakes in Central Asia, we need to talk about the energy security aspect. And apart from energy security, India's diaspora, energy security, and safety of the shipping in the Arabian Sea and Red Sea. So therefore, I can say that India has a lot of geopolitical and geostrategic interests with respect to Middle East. So therefore, forging a positive relationship with countries in the Middle East is very important to maintain India's quest to become a regional power. Because it is very often said that Middle East is part of India's extended neighborhood. Okay, so it is said that Middle East is part of India's extended neighborhood. So in this context, it is very important that India developing positive relations with countries or powers in Middle East such as UAE. So we already discussed India's relations with United Arab Emirates, and apart from India's ties with UAE, so India has also been maintaining good relations with Saudi Arabia, another regional power. And apart from that, woman is also a very key player and a long-standing ally of India. Okay, so they are the regional powers in Middle East. So therefore, India's a multifaceted relationship with all these countries will serve India's interest certainly. Now, why India-woman relationship is in news in recent times? It is because of one particular reason. The reason is, so woman's Sultan, his name was Haytham bin Tariq. So woman's Sultan paid an official visit to India. Okay, so this is very significant. The visit of woman Sultan to India is very significant. It is because it is the first state visit from woman after 26 years. Because of this reason, this essentially means that since last 26 years, no head of the woman had visited India since last 26 years. So because of this particular reason, this visit is very important and very significant. So now India is not just looking in the region, not just looking or not just confined within South Asia. Rather, India has been trying to exert its influence beyond the region and beyond the extended neighborhood. So as part of this strategy of India, India has been forging friendly ties with several Middle Eastern countries. Okay, so therefore, in this article, we will understand the growing India-woman relationship, how it will be beneficial for India. Okay, so India-woman relationship, how it will be beneficial for India in the longer term. So what are the challenges in forging friendly ties, friendly relations with India and woman? And apart from that, we will also understand the way forward as well in this bilateral relationship. Okay, now if we briefly understand the significance of woman for India, we all know that woman is a strategic partner for India. Okay, so woman is a strategic partner for India. So this is the most fundamental of India-woman bilateral relations. And apart from that, if you look at the woman's standing, the position of woman, it is a member of the Gulf Cooperation Council, right? So Gulf Cooperation Council, it consists of countries which are part of Gulf. For example, Qatar. Qatar was not part of the Gulf Cooperation Council. So UAE, Bahrain, and then Oman, Saudi Arabia. So all those countries are part of the Gulf Cooperation Council. And apart from that, Arab League, and Indian Ocean Rim Association, where India maintains its dominance, India maintains its leadership role in the Indian Ocean Rim Association, because we all know that India had the position of net security provider in the Indian Ocean region. So because of all these reasons, woman is very, very important for India, because woman is a member of Gulf Cooperation Council, Arab League, and Indian Ocean Rim Association, right? So therefore, in order to further enhance India's engagement, India's influence in the region, so India has to maintain friendly ties not just with these countries, but also India should have a major influence on these councils, for example Gulf Cooperation Council, Arab League, and Indian Ocean Rim Association. So if we talk about the historical relationship between India and women, so it traced back to, or it is linked to, the geography, the history, culture, and they enjoy warm and cordial relations. So the relations not just traced back to the years, rather they traced back to the centuries, right from the Indus Valley civilization. So we are going to understand all those aspects of India-woman engagement. Okay, so as I have already told you that India-woman relations are historical in nature. Okay, so they are rightly called as historical. So why they are historical? Now if you look at the ancient civilization that has developed in the Middle East, parts of women, so the civilization was called as the Sumerian civilization. So in a similar way, there was another civilization that was developed in northwestern part of India. Okay, so that civilization is called as Harappan civilization or Indus Valley civilization. Okay, so now during the ancient times there were trade routes. Okay, so there were trade routes. Those trade routes are connecting the Sumerian civilization with the Indus Valley civilization, or vice versa. So because of this specific reason, the relations between India and women are historic relations, and they are evolving over a period of time. Okay, so India has been maintaining friendly relations with majority of the countries. So India is not taking any sides, rather India maintaining the position of strategic autonomy. So we all know about this. India maintains the position of strategic autonomy. However, within the Arab countries, India has a lot of friends. Okay, so for example, India has maintaining cordial ties with UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Bahrain, and even Oman. So therefore we can say that Oman is the one of the country with which India has been maintaining a very close and friendly ties. So this was during the Cold War period. So Cold War period was the period which starts after the Second World War up to the collapse of the USSR. Okay, so up to the collapse of USSR. So this period is called as the Cold War period. Okay, so India has been maintaining cordial ties with the woman since the Cold War times. Okay, so however, so one bone of contention between India and Middle East engagement was most of the Arabian countries are taking the pro-Pakistan stance. So because we fought 4 wars with Pakistan, right? There's no doubt that we fought 4 wars with Pakistan. So in most of those wars, Arab world has largely supported Pakistan. So despite the pro-Pakistan stance of most Arab world, woman has maintained such cordial and friendly ties with India. So after that, even though woman was not part of the G20 grouping, so we all already discussed about G20 and the members which are part of the G20. Okay, so from the Middle East, only Saudi Arabia is a member of the G20 grouping, right? So even though woman is not a member of the G20 grouping, so India has invited woman as a guest country. Okay, so India has invited woman as a guest country. Now apart from woman, which is the which was the Middle Eastern country, which was the Arab country that India has invited as a guest country apart from Oman. It is United Arab Emirates. Okay, so therefore, since India was the president of G20 summit, so it has invited Oman and UAE as the guest countries to the G20 summit that took place in the year 2023 in India. Okay, so apart from all these things, if you look at the diplomatic engagement between India and Oman, they have formally established the diplomatic ties in the year 1955. Okay, so the formal diplomatic relations were established between these two countries in the year 1955. So apart from this 1955, every country elevated their bilateral relationships. So therefore, in this context, this bilateral relationship between India and Oman has further elevated to the level of strategic partnership in the year 2008. Okay, so however, we can say that this particular strategic partnership is based on twin pillars or two pillars. So what are those pillars? Mutual trust and shared interest. Mutual trust and shared interests are twin pillars based on which the relationship has been shaped on. Now, when I say shared interests, the common outlook, and they were part of the global south, so the common interests they have with respect to several international issues, the north-south divide. So all these things comes under the shared interests. Okay, so the counter-terrorism cooperation, the development, the developmental needs, the protection of diaspora. So all these things comes under the shared interests of these two countries. And apart from that, these two countries also have the mutual interest. A mutual trust, I can say. So when I say mutual trust, what does this mean, mutual trust? So mutual trust essentially means that believing in one other's views over different issues. Okay, so keeping in mind their interests, taking any major action within the region and the beyond the region. So that largely comes under the mutual trust aspect of the bilateral engagement. So however, we should also talk about the economic relations. So we have the flourishing state of economic relations with women. Okay, so as I have already told you that we have established the maritime trade routes from ancient times itself. So therefore, in this context, we still maintaining this level of positive relationship. Okay, so women's top trading partner is India now. Okay, so India is one of the women's top trading partner. So because there's a lot of demand for oil from India. There's a lot of demand for oil from India. So so therefore, in this context, woman is the second largest market. So sorry, India is the second largest market for women after China. Okay, so because of a huge demand for the oil from India, for women, India is the second largest market. So this is where the positive ties, robust ties and the potential ties would develop between India and women. So however, the non-oil exports from India constitute the second largest market for women after the Saudi Arabia. Okay, so crude oil exports, second largest market for women, India, and in non-oil exports also it is the second largest market for women after Saudi Arabia. So because of these reasons, so there was a flourishing state of relations between India and women. So they have been cooperating in defense front as well. Okay, so as I have already told you that woman is India's a country which is in India's neighborhood. Okay, so a country which is in India's neighborhood, so extended neighborhood. So if you look at the closeness of India, and this is woman. Okay, so this is India and woman. Okay, so the closeness of India and woman has made that there's a need to strong defense partnership. Okay, so therefore woman has led to the strong defense partnership or close defense partnership in the Gulf region. Okay, so Oman is the first Gulf country with which all three wings of India's defense forces hold joint exercises. Okay, so in the entire Gulf, Oman is the first country with which all three Indian wings of defense forces have done the joint military exercises. So therefore this is very important. And the other thing is that you have to understand and locate where is Oman is located. Okay, so if you look at this map, here it is a Persian Gulf, and this is the location of UAE, and Oman has been sharing its borders with UAE, Saudi Arabia and Yemen, where the Houthi rebels are usually based on. Houthi rebels. Okay, so this area is called as Strait of Hormuz. Okay, so please locate these Strait of Hormuz as well. Okay, Strait of Hormuz. And this region is called as Gulf of Aden, right? And this is Red Sea. So this is where the maritime piracy and attacks on the vessels taking place. Maritime piracy or attack on commercial ships by the Houthi rebels have been taking place. Okay, so I hope you are clear about the location of Oman. Right, so and the other thing that you have to understand, there's a port called Dakkam port. So this is where India also have a naval base at Dakkam port. Okay, so this is very close to the Gulf of Masira of Oman, right? So Gulf of this Dakkam port, please remember this. So after that, we need to understand the key takeaways of this recent visit. Okay, so Oman's leader visit to India. The first and foremost and most important key takeaway of this recent visit is India's hospitality. Okay, so India has promised to reopen the maritime voyage to Oman. Okay, so now as part of this visit, India had promised to reopen the maritime voyage to Oman, sailing through Mandvi to Muscat, tentatively 2025 and 26. So this is the first takeaway of this recent visit. So after that, we need to talk about the terrorism as well. So India is a country which has been taking up several measures at the national level and at the international level to fight terrorism. So therefore, India has been looking for the partners which can cooperate with India on the efforts of counter-terrorism. So therefore, in this context, a memorandum of understanding has been signed between the Financial Intelligence Unit of India. Okay, so MOU has been signed between India's Financial Intelligence Unit and National Center for Financial Information. So this belongs to the Oman. So this MOU particularly envisions a cooperation in the exchange of intelligence. Okay, so both these units will exchange information with each other with respect to the counter-terrorism measures and money laundering and associated predicate offenses and terrorist financing. So therefore, we can say that this is the major step for India in the direction of counter-terrorism. So that will help India take positive steps with respect to counter-terrorism. So apart from that, we should also talk about the food security element as well, right? So it is said that the global food basket is now India. So India is a country which can ensure the global food security. So therefore, both these countries, India and Oman, have recognized the importance of providing food security to each other. Okay, so now if you look at the COVID-19 pandemic, Russia-Ukraine war, so what happened? So there was a supply chain, related issues. So in order to achieve the supply chain resilience and in order to ensure the food security, so they have focused on enhancing the agricultural cooperation. So what happens with the enhancing agriculture cooperation? That will certainly help these two countries increase or enhance the agricultural productivity, okay, in a sustainable scale or in a sustainable or environment friendly manner. Sustainable or environment friendly. environment friendly manner. So this was in the context of the COVID-19 pandemic, and both these countries have focused on the food security and enhancing the agriculture cooperation. So the culture is also one of the element which has been strengthening the India-woman relations. So there was a Dhofar University and Indian Council for Cultural Relations. So they have established the ICCR chair of Indian studies. So that is in Hindi language. Okay, so that was established in Dhofar University. Okay, so this is called as Dhofar University. And the vision document has also acknowledged. Vision document generally released after any meeting. So in the India woman bilateral meeting, there was a vision document that was released. So this vision document actually acknowledges the synergy. Okay, so synergy is complementarity between women's vision of 2020. So similar to this Amrit Kal that India has announced till 2047, so woman has also announced Women Vision 2040. So both these countries have recognized the synergy between woman vision 2040 and India's Amrit Kal up to 2047. Okay, so both these countries have affirmed their real commitment for harnessing these two complementarities, and they further decided to deepen and strengthen the bilateral ties between these two countries. So in this context, please understand why a woman is considered as India's gateway to the West Asia. Okay, so you have to understand the location of woman first. Okay, so if you look at the location of woman here, so first we can reach woman directly. Okay, so through commercial shipping or even through airways. So because of this reason, woman is considered as India's gateway to the rest of the West Asia. So after women, we can reach UAE and Saudi Arabia, Yemen and Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwait, Iraq. So therefore, because of this reason, woman is considered as India's gateway to West Asia. First and foremost aspect is recently during the G20 summit 2023 under India's presidency, so India Middle East Europe economic corridor was announced. Okay, so this is an infrastructure development project particularly for strengthening the existing infrastructure for the connectivity. Okay, so this project will link India to Europe across the West Asia. Okay, so this India, Middle East and Europe economic corridor or the connectivity corridor will link India with the Europe through the West Asia or Middle East. So because woman is India's gateway to the West Asia, woman will play a larger and very important role for the connectivity. Okay, so in this context, the India, Middle East, Europe connectivity corridor will play a very important role. A woman will play a very important role for this connectivity project. So after that, we need to talk about the Dakam port as well. So earlier I have told you about this port. The port is Dakam port. So India was given access to this Dakam port by women. Okay, so this Dakam port can serve as a strategic base for India in the region. Okay, so this can serve as a strategic base for India in the region, especially in the backdrop of increasing maritime attacks, increasing attacks on the commercial vessels in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden and Arab Sea. And it will also help India become a net security provider and fight the maritime piracy in the region. Fight maritime piracy in the region. Okay, so after that, we need to understand the geopolitical significance of woman as well. So if you look at the woman's location, it is of a very strategic position. It is in a strategic importance because it has a huge coastline with the Arabian Sea. If you look at the location of Oman, so it has a huge coastline with the Arabian Sea as well as the Gulf of Oman. So therefore it leads to into the Persian Gulf. Okay, so this Arabian Sea and the Gulf of Oman will further leads to the Arabian Gulf and Gulf of Aden, and this route is very important for global shipping and shipping of commercial vessels, and also maintaining predominance by the Indian defense forces, and also for energy security. So therefore woman has a huge geopolitical significance. Woman's location has a huge geopolitical significance for India. Okay, so if you look at the countries in the Middle East such as UAE, Saudi Arabia, women, so it is considered as a trio. Okay, so this is considered as a trio, and all these countries are key strategic partners for India in the Gulf region. Okay, so all these countries are very important for India in this region in West Asia. Okay, so woman very often follows the peaceful neutral policy. Okay, so woman very often adopted a moderate and mediating role in the region. So it is very often not involved in any conflicts or any disputes in the region. Okay, so generally it is a peaceful country and it doesn't involve in any conflicts or disputes. So however, now this region, okay, so where I have marking here, this region is considered as Persian Gulf. Okay, so this is Persian Gulf. So this Gulf of the Strait of Hormuz, and this is Gulf of Oman. Strait of Hormuz opens into the Red Sea, or opens into the Persian Gulf. So women facilitated a dialogue and communication between US and Iran. So with respect to this Gulf crisis, we all know that the US and Iran have differing conflictual relationships with each other. So woman has facilitated dialogue and communication between US and Iran. So this efforts of women were received prizes at the international community, because the constructive role it has played for the contribution of regional security. So therefore, ultimately in the longer term, if India continues to maintain positive and friendly relations with women, that significantly benefit India in a multifaceted way, whether it is trade, defense, connectivity, people to people ties, and diaspora and culture. In all these elements, so India's aspirations would be further complemented and augmented by India's close ties with the woman. Okay, so that's all in this lecture. I hope you have a decent knowledge about India woman ties, and I also hope that you can tackle any question on this, especially whenever you get a question on India woman relations in interview or mains answers. Thank you.